Stafford, and I'm a junior English major here at NC State.
Hello, and I'm Tom Stafford, retired Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs.
And today we're going to be doing a walking tour talking about the newly renovated Belltower.
My favorite place on campus. Let's go.
Let's go! So, as someone who's given over 600 tours of the Belltower, what is it like to finally see it finished?
Oh, it's incredible. We've done lots of great renovations of other buildings around campus. Tally student at the Union, Reynolds Coliseum, Thompson Theater Hall. And the Belltower, during all that time, the Belltower has stood there waiting for its opportunity to be renovated.
So I understand students used to be able to play the Carillon from here in Holiday Hall.
Now, the room they played from is right there, just the one to the left. And that window right there is on the outside of a small room in which the Carillon was located. And you're right, students from NC State would go into that room every afternoon at 5 o'clock and play anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes of music. And when they did that, they recorded every song they played in a small notebook that I showed to folks when I take my tour group into that room. It's a really cool spot.
So as we're approaching it, already the exterior looks pretty different. So what all has changed out here?
Well, the main change on the exterior is the fact that they cleaned and repaired the outside. So the outside, the granite is very beautiful right now and very clean looking. They have also, the other thing that's different is that up in the top, in the belfry, the 55 bells have been placed up there. And so when you stand back from the tower and you look up at the tower, you can see those bells.
They look massive. So what was the process of getting those up there?
Well, the largest bell was about this tall. I think it weighed close to 2,000 pounds. Anyway, it was a very large bell. And they took it up one bell at a time, and they would lift it up and then over and then down into the belfry. And before they did that, they had to remove the top of the bell tower. I mean, it was amazing to watch them do that. And then once all the bells had been placed inside, they put the roof back on top of the bell tower. It was pretty incredible.
So you mentioned the name Henry. What's the significance of the name Henry Square?
Well, that is a very important part of this restoration project. And it's the main reason that we were able to do so. As we approach the incline that leads us up around the plinth, you will see in the granite it says Henry Square. And that is the name that the university decided to put on the area around the bell tower in honor of Bill and Frances Henry and their generous gift that enabled us to do all the renovations.
So how has the bell tower been modernized while still preserving its historical integrity?
When you look at the bell tower now, it looks pretty much like it did before, with the exception of the bells in the top and the incline that leads people up to the plinth, people who have mobility impaired. And that was a very important addition to the project.
So I think the first thing everyone thinks of when they think about the bell tower is it lighting up red for sporting wins and special occasions. So when will we be able to light up the bell tower again?
Well, we can do it right now, but we're not going to do it until after the dedication.
Okay.
And so after that, the process that we'd used before, when a faculty member or a student achieves something really, really significant, at a national level or whatever, or if we win an athletic contest in certain categories, then the tower will be lit red.
Do you have a favorite renovation to the bell tower?
Well, I like all of it, but my favorite part has to be the shrine room.
Can you show us the shrine room?
Well, I think I can. If you would like to take a look.
Of course I would like to take a look. I would be honored.
There you go. Put it in, turn it to the left, and then push hard. Good job. Let's turn a few lights on. And as I said earlier, this is a military monument. It remembers and honors the NC State alumni who died while they were in military service during World War I. And the alumni put their fellow alumni names on this beautiful plaque. So, this is a sacred place. That's one of the reasons why we let students bring their class rings into this room to spend the night. Because something very magical happens that night and that changes those rings. So that's another for me, a very important part of the bell tower and the shrine room.
Have you ever left a ring overnight in the bell tower?
You see that ring? Mm-hmm. That ring was given to me when I retired 9 years ago, and every time students come over and put their rings in, guess what happens to this ring?
Leave it?
I leave my ring in this room with all the student rings.
So that ring probably is all powerful.
It's got more Wolfpack spirit in it than any other ring you're going to find anywhere. Now, look at this beautiful plaque and all those names. Now, there's a really interesting story about these names that most people never know. When they had finalized the plaque and ready to be installed, they discovered that they had made a major mistake. And don't you want to know what that mistake was?
I do want to know what that mistake was.
They had included the name of a man who was still alive.
Oh no.
So they had three choices on what to do. Number one, they could replace the whole plaque. That would have cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Or they could have removed his name entirely, but that would not look very good. So they decided to pursue the third option, which was to change his name from his real name into another name. The man who was still alive was George L. Jeffers. And they changed his L to an E, and they put an O and an N on the end of his name.
I never would have guessed from the O and the N, but the E looks a little different.
Now, before they restored the gold leaf on the letters, this addition was much more obvious. Mm-hmm. It's not quite as apparent now. So, George L. Jeffers became George E. Jefferson. And when they did that, they said there was no known person at that time with that new name. And so George E. Jefferson was designated as a symbolic name that represents all the NC State alumni who fought in the war.
That's so cool.
It's a pretty cool story.
So what about the general structure of the bell tower? What was the need for a renovation in here?
Well, that was a really important part of this project. If you had been in this room before it was restored, you would have, I was embarrassed to bring people in because the water had come inside the tower. It had come down the walls. There was damage to the marble all across that side. And of course, the water also damaged some of the names on the plaque. And this is, to me, this is one of the most significant improvements of this project because all the marble in this room right now has either been replaced or restored. When they came in to renovate this room, they removed all the marble that was in here. And the pieces that were good enough to be kept, they kept them. And then otherwise, they developed or brought in new pieces. And the people who did that tried to show me how I could tell the difference. But when I look at the pieces of marble, I mean, they all look the same to me. They all look really beautiful. So the restoration of the marble, what they did to the plaque, and then this staircase, this beautiful staircase that goes up and over the plaque and all the way up to the top. And then the beautiful oculus up at the top that lets light in up at the very top. That is also, to me, a really beautiful part of this renovation. One of the things I love to do is bring people in and close the door, and the whole room is dark. You can't see anything, and then I hit that switch, and the lights come up around the plaque, and people just go, ooh, when I do that.
It's like opening the curtain to
Yep.
it. So what was over here before the staircase?
It was just open space. And there was a ladder, so you would climb that ladder, go through that hole, and you would be on the top of the ceiling. And then you walk over to a ladder, a wrought iron ladder that was built into the inside wall, right up there, and you would climb that wrought iron ladder all the way up to the top.
So up that ladder though is the bells. So tell us a little bit more about the bells.
Well, I've been up and gone into the space with the bells once. There are 55 bells installed in the very top. And they range in size from, the largest one was provided by the class of 2010. And, it's about this tall.
Wow.
And the Henry family, their name is on several of the next largest bells. And then the Henry family honored me by saying they wanted my name put on one of the bells too. So I was greatly honored when they wanted to do that. So if you go up there, the bells are all located in a certain section, certain place, and each bell has a clapper that rings that bell if you hit it against the bell. So there is a wire from that clapper down into the Carillon. So when you go into the Carillon Room, you will look at the Carillon, and it's a wooden musical instrument, and it's this wide, and it's got 55 wooden pegs sticking out. So when you hit one peg, that peg rings one bell. So each peg is connected to a separate bell. So I've seen a video, but I've never seen it live. When somebody plays the Carillon, they sit on a bench and they do this, hitting those pegs.
Looks like whack-a-mole.
Yeah. And you don't do this,
Yeah.
but you hit the peg like that, and that'll ring the bell.
It's crazy. So do you know which one is your bell? The one with your name on it?
Several people have asked me that question, and I know about where it is, but not exactly. I need to figure that out. Would you like to go up and look at the Carillon Room?
I would love to go up and look at the Carillon Room.
Okay, now this is the Carillon. Each time you hit one of these pegs, it'll ring a bell in the belfry.
Ooh.
Yeah, you see one right there?
Yeah.
You stand back a little bit, and you look up, you see that one?
So some of those are smaller. So how did those get up here?
The smaller bells were brought up by hand, one at a time. So one person would take a bell, start up the steps, then bring it all the way up, and then put it up into the belfry.
Wow. I wonder how heavy those were to carry up all those stairs.
I don't want to know. I mean, they were, some of the smallest bells were this size. So those probably weren't too bad.
Yeah.
But
Still pretty solid though.
they're heavy. Now this is the duet.
Oh, the duet.
You play down there and I'll play down here.
Okay. We can play Heart and Soul.
I don't know, you may have to play that.
So, will you be starting up the Belltower tours again now that it's finished?
Absolutely yes. And I cannot wait. I can't wait to take people inside that shrine room to see how beautiful it looks. No, I can't wait. The restriction that I'll have to pay close attention to is the restrictions from COVID-19 and how many people we can get together and put in a space. So as soon as I can get past that, and after we do the dedication on May the 14th, I've already had a lot of people ask me, can they go on the tour? So I think I'm going to be busy.
I bet you will be. So be on the lookout for his Belltower tours coming up soon. Thank you all so much for watching this Belltower tour, and thank you, Dr. Stafford, so much for showing me around.
You're welcome.
And make sure to come check out the Belltower in person as soon as you get a chance.